Welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian, and today I'm going to talk about why I do not think Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States of America. So stay tuned for that. Please like, subscribe, and share my videos and help me grow my little channel. I just hit 2,000 followers this week. I'm so appreciative of all of you who follow me regularly and track with me. I have a small, very tiny little new Patreon account. If you want to join there, you'll get stuff you won't get here as well. Check out all my links below so you can get signed up for my weekly newsletter, which I don't cover that content here, or come to me for a reading. Check my website. Now let's talk about Donald Trump. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. I'm going to show you my astrology charts to give you 3 or 4 reasons why he will no longer be president. But before I do, I'm going to plug my laptop in because it's got a low battery. So give me 30 seconds to charge this baby up. Sorry, guys. Yes, I'm just really spontaneous about this stuff. I don't rehearse. I look kind of nice with makeup on because I just did a podcast show with somebody, an interview. So thought, well, I'm still glammed up. I may as well actually continue and do some filming here. Batch film, you know. I'm a lazy YouTube channel maker sometimes because I don't feel like putting on the makeup. So let me share the screen. I'm going to give you 4 reasons at least, because I have to name this video yet, but it'll probably be 4 reasons why Donald Trump won't be the president of the United States of America after this election on November the 3rd. So here we go. You're looking at what I'm seeing, and this is his natal chart. He was born with his ascendant on a star called Regulus. It means born to rule, little king. It could bring you great power and acclaim, and his ascendant is his identity. And you can see how martial he is, right? Like always, fight, win, lose, loser, winner, all of that energy. Even though, of course, he's not actually martial. He didn't go to war. He's not a soldier. He didn't actually serve in the army. He always proposes things that sound like he's Mr. Tough Guy. Mr. Tough Guy is Mars on his ascendant. That can be Mr. Bully as well. Mars in Leo, very fiery, very aggressive, very entitled when Mars is in Leo. And it's on his ascendant, on the star, little Regulus, born to rule, little king, etc. People with that star can often have great rise to power and fall from power if it's on the sun, the moon, or the ascendant. And in his case, his rising sign at 29 degrees of Leo. In his natal first house, of course, is its rising, but Mars right there. Now there's Pluto, god of secrets in the underworld and stuff, also dominating the first house. It makes him charismatic. Like, I'm not going to do a whole reading on his chart. I'm going to go to the timing of why he won't be president. But I just want to say, anybody who has Pluto in the first house is very compelling. They're like, they have a gravity well around them. People fall into their gravity well. I know a lot of people personally who are like that. They can be daunting. They can be intimidating. They can be charismatic. They can be compelling to people. And just listening to somebody the other day on TV talking about what happened to certain senators that they used to respect. A GOP senator, Republican senator, was talking about his colleagues having fallen by the wayside under Donald Trump's spell. That's how he put it. And I'm like, yeah, it's Pluto, co-president with the ascendant, totally under a spell. I mean, I don't get it, but I'm not spending time around him. Maybe there's a magnetic field around him. You just kind of fall in like a planet goes into the, falls out of the orbit and crashes to the earth. But in this case, crashes into Donald Trump's world. So let's go into timing markers first. Number 1, it's his profection year that doesn't look good, and his profection month, number 2. So a profection, every age of our life. And I taught a little course on this. I'll put a link below to my course, I think, in the description box. If you want to grab it, it's only $9.99 for sale. But it's so you can understand how to do more advanced profections. But the idea here is that every age of our lives, we have something called the profection age, PRO, and it defines one of the 12 pie slices or regions of the zodiacal wheel. So it's always 12, 24, 36, 48. I'm circling here, right? House number 1. 60, 72, that's always going to be those ages. Well, you can get the rest, right? So he's now 74. So 72, 73, 74. Donald Trump is in a 3rd house profection year from his birthday in June to his birthday in June of 2021. That's not necessarily a terrible profection house by any means. It's Libra in his case, maybe a desire to try to, this year engage in, well, Libra rules the scales of justice, and how many lawsuits does he have going right now, including the Affordable Care Act lawsuit that's gone all the way to the Supreme Court. So yeah, being involved in a lot of legal machinations for him in this year for sure. But also the profection age is ruled by the planet Venus. Look at Venus in his chart. That's not good, guys. It's in his 12th house. That means that it's badly placed. It's a house of enemies, hidden enemies. I kind of joke. I always call Kamala and Joe the Saturn-Venus combination. And I'll be showing you in a video sometime later this week about why I think Joe Biden is actually riding the success and the karmic wave of Kamala Harris. Anyway, so that to me is a Joe, the Saturn old guy, and but very nurturing and caring and soft and sweet in Cancer. And actually Saturn in its fall, right? This is Donald's Saturn. But I mean, I just think it might outpicture as the why is Joe in his fall? Well, because, he's had a life of difficulty. This is hospitals and karma and challenges and heartbreaking circumstances can happen via the 12th. But let's not spend time with Joe and Kamala. Let's talk about what does it mean that Donald Trump is being ruled this year by Venus, who's a benefic, who offers good blessings, when Venus herself is in a bad condition in her chart. It means in a bad house. Okay, she's not necessarily a bad condition. She's in a bad house, difficult house. It certainly means the house of hidden enemies, that a female can be his undoing this year. Is it Kamala Harris? Is it another female who hasn't come out of the woodwork between now and the election? Is it Melania Trump going for broke because she's still sick with COVID, folks? She hasn't come out yet to play. Who knows? But somebody, feminine energy, could be his undoing this year, even after the election. This is a play until his birthday in the month of June. Now, secondly, there's something called your profection month, and we do it like this. Watch, you'll learn a little fun trick. This is perfecting from the third house, right? Where he's starting his year in June. We can give that third house the month of June. This is July. August is the 5th house. September is the 6th house. November is the 7th house. Oh, did I do that right? I'm doing that. Hang on. Yeah, I did. Okay, yeah. So June, July, August, September, October. Sorry, October is the 7th house. I can do math. And November is the 8th house. The election is November 3rd. Well, the 8th house just is a very difficult house. That he's going out and doing 3 rallies a day right now and is on the campaign trail. That's very 7th house. That's your clients, your audience, and the other that you wish to meet. All right. And so he's out there meeting all these people during the month of October. But look at this 8th house profection month, which is a place of death, the house of death. It's ominous, to say the least, that he's going to be in an 8th house profection month during the actual election and for the entire month of November. You can also see that he's going to be under the rulership during the month of November of Jupiter, who rules in the ancient tradition the sign of Pisces. Also, the modern ruler is Neptune. So I can say a couple of things. Neptune is confusion and delusion and unsure and foggy stuff. But Jupiter himself, right, is God of benefic outcomes and luck, which could mitigate that 8th house, make it better, right? Not so bad to have an election in your 8th house. The 8th house is a very big money house, right? It's like other people's money, bank loans and grants and inheritances. So, but the idea of his natal Jupiter's disposition can tell us just a little bit. This little baby is not only retrograde in his 3rd house in Libra, but this is a planet that is under the rulership of Venus. And we know Venus is not only his lord of this year, but also in a very inauspicious place. Like there's something that could come out of the shadows to undo him in a way that we don't quite see yet. And, Venus takes instruction or bows before the moon in this chart. The moon is a ruler of the 12th house. Yes, it's a little like a billiard ball game. And that moon is on that south node of loss and letting go and releasing. All right, so there you go. Let's go on to my next one. That's 2, perfection month and perfection year, and how they don't look so auspicious at all. By the way, Joe and Kamala do have better perfection designations. That's for another video. This is the chart on the outside called the solar arc directions, and it is a progress chart of approximately almost a year per sign moving forward. a degree per planet moving forward through the zodiac from the time of birth. What has been daunting for a long time, and astrologers are quite aware of this, is that Uranus has been sitting on Donald's ascendant. And there's a Uranus solar arc moving through the sky in a progressed chart, symbolic time, sitting on his ascendant at 29 degrees. Now, Uranus in general is about the unexpected. It's about upheaval. It's about rebellion. It's about shock. It's about surprise. It's jars. It shakes things up. Its whole goal is to shake. It doesn't like things the way they were, the status quo. His ascendant on little King Regulus is, I'm the king of the castle. Uranus is sitting on that ascendant and he's going to shake it up. I don't think he's going to be king. It's like the Tower card. Boom, a lightning bolt will strike and knock him off his throne. Now, Uranus can deliver that in many different ways, physically as well as just reputation-wise. I mean, the ascendant is his physical body. He could have a very sudden impact to his physical body of some unexpected source, not just COVID, because he seems to be recovering, but something else. And that could definitely knock him out of the ring as a contender for the presidency, or maybe he just doesn't win the election. And that Uranus to his ascendant is in play for almost another year. It's really just 29 degrees, and his ascendant's closer to the 30th, or moving out of that, at the end of the that part of the chart. So into the moving into his second house. So technically it's starting now, it's there, but for the next year, that thing is definitely happening around his body, his personality, his self, his stature, his ascendant, the gig, the avatar of Donald Trump as the little king. I wrote an article on Medium called Is Donald Trump a High Chair Tyrant? I'll put the link in the description box below. I don't know, before he was elected, maybe a few months before he was elected, and it couldn't be any more true than it is now. I hope you remember, I'll put it in the description box below. I think you'll enjoy it. Well, if you don't enjoy it, I'm sorry. But I think you might enjoy it if you're not attached to Donald Trump being the savior of, baby eating pedophiles ruling the world. Okay. Now, also, the other thing I wanted to point out in the solar arc chart, right, that could maybe have an impact in one way or the other. Where did I see that? I was glancing at it earlier. This is a spontaneous recording since I had makeup on. Yeah, it's a couple of things. This is not as important as what I just shared with you by any means. I don't think it is as significant, but I do wonder about that Saturn, which is really at 5 degrees solar arc time right now, because it's 4:57, which is sitting on his Neptune pretty well, within a degree of that 5 minutes, and what is it, 50-degree Neptune. So he's got Saturn bearing down on that natal Neptune. The reason he can be so persuasive and charismatic and cause people to fall into a spell of enchantment and delusion with him of some sort is that Neptune in the third house of self-expression allows him to cast a kind of false spell, false image sometimes. And, Saturn will repress that, will squish that, will squash that, will sober it up in some way. So that's not so great either. And that's happening as well now. There's no way that could be necessarily good for him. And I'll go back to his chart for a sec just to show you. This is a Neptune sitting right here in his third house in the sign of Libra. And that Neptune is participating with his Mercury. You see, that's a square. It's very light, but Neptune is squaring Mercury. The line is light, but it's 3-degree orb. That's the signature of liars, guys. I mean, Neptune, deceivers, manipulators, liars, often will have a square, not always, but often, from Neptune to Mercury, the messenger or the communicator. Now with Mercury in his house of things that are hidden and things that are shadowy, even hidden from himself, I often don't think he knows he's lying. I think he's just confabulating and saying what he wants, and he just loses track of what's real and not real. But it does picture that way. Now Saturn squishing down on that Neptune and sobering it up pretty darn quickly in this time frame of the election. I think he's going to realize that he didn't get away with it this time, and it didn't really work, being the confabulator that he is. Now, the last part of it is this. So it was 3 so far. let's go for 4. The outer chart is United States Sibley chart with a Sagittarius 12-degree ascendant over here. And I don't want to go into a super analysis of how that chart lays over Donald Trump, which is significant. I want to talk about how that chart lays over Donald Trump's solar arc, planets. Okay, that's where I'm going with this. So this is fascinating to me, that his midheaven in solar arc time, which has now moved into Leo, the sign of the leader, did that roughly 5.5 years ago. When did he become president? 4 years ago. What happened 5.5 years ago? He started to build up his campaign to run for president. What's Leo? The sign of the leader. So the solar arc midheaven has moved into his first house 5.5 years ago. And that's when he began to want to become king of the castle / president of the United States. However, okay, so that's his solar arc midheaven moving into his first house, right? Coming closer and closer to his Pluto. It's kind of suggestive too, by the way, if he was to go a second term, he could be killed in office. And I don't want to wish that on anyone, but Pluto is a god of death. And another term would put him for those 4 years in really close proximity to Pluto. But I'm really intrigued and baffled and curious about the fact that the transiting solar arc midheaven, progressed midheaven, symbolic midheaven, is currently in a pretty close alignment with the north node of the United States natal chart, the node of Rahu, the node of destiny, the node of fate. He's already in a position of power. He's already the king of the castle. Rahu can be like the deranged king, the deranged leader, the mad king. Rahu inflates or blows up what it touches. When he became president in 2016, this was not happening like this. His midheaven would have been, progressed midheaven would have been at the 1 degree mark and Rahu at 6, not that close. Now look at it. They are literally within a degree of each other as this election happens. You know, losing your head, going insane, you know, being deranged. And Donald Trump was born during an eclipse, which can actually be somebody for whom derangement is, you know, potentially there. He was born during a full moon lunar eclipse. So we look at this pressure on the midheaven, transiting midheaven for Donald Trump, which doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing in general, but there's so many other things going on right now that I'm suspicious that it will inflate things like to a non-sustainable level. Something's going to blow up. Maybe it's he just begins to act out so outrageously that more and more people lose faith in him, except for a very small nugget of his base. You know, recording this on the 21st of October, so we're not that far from the election, but you never know. It also means, of course, that the South Node is transiting Donald Trump's, the solar arc the solar arc IC, the root of the chart, is transiting the United States South Node. So it's like what makes Donald safe and comfortable and anchored in, rooted in something. Right now he's rooted in the White House, is going to be connecting with the letting go position of the United States chart, as if the United States was a person. You know, if a person had someone's South Node on someone's IC and you were going to get married, I'd say, I'm not sure about that. This person will be a cause of a loss of feeling safe in the world, or a loss of a home, or a loss of, you know, having to let go of a sense of home. And it's kind of interesting with, you know, the place that represents Donald being at home, that I see the natal chart bottom coming into direct contact with the letting go South Node of the United States. Letting go of the White House? Perhaps. So I think I gave you 4 reasons that I was pretty well convinced that he's not going to be reelected. Even if there's a recount, I don't think it'll happen. I can predict that he will likely have a divorce from Melania Trump as well, based on a couple of charts that I've looked at, but we'll get to that in another reading, probably not for a couple of years after today, but you know, it's very interesting to think about. You know, when you look at the United States natal chart and you look at the asteroid Juno, and there she is, she looks like an asterisk, right? That is the asteroid of marriage, and it's Zeus and Hera, right? I mean, Zeus is the king of Mount Olympus, his wife is Juno or Hera. And in the States, the chart of the United States, I take that to represent the first lady and the president, or if we had a female president, the first man. I'm waiting for that. It's the couple reigning the kingdom, really. And Juno, the couple reigning the kingdom, is going to, in the United States chart, right, going to, well, Pluto's already on it. I mean, Donald Trump's Pluto has crossed over the couple ruling the nation of the United States. His solar arc Pluto is over Juno and right now sits at, like 45 minutes, right? Not even a degree. So that's been in play for a while, but it probably means like up to a year ago, Donald Trump's marriage has been extraordinarily shaky. She's just doing her role for, legal reasons, probably between them, contractual agreements. But if he's not the president anymore, I don't think that marriage will stick at all. So, all right. Anything else I'm seeing in the solar arcs? I'm looking at my big screen so I don't go blind, guys, on my big screen here. Well, yeah, of course, that Venus in his chart that's ruling his year and not doing so great for him because of its natal predisposition. And as I speak, Venus is still in Virgo by transit in a place of difficulty for her. But I find it interesting that Venus in Donald Trump's chart, when he was born in his 12th house, is in close proximity, a conjunction to the lot of fortune of the United States of America's natal chart. He has this kind of sense that the fortunes of the country are tied to Venus in his chart. Well, it could be about money and his misuse of funds and money, or the 12th house is foreign lands, like the 9th is also a place of foreign lands. What about money from foreign lands tethered to your president, I'm Canadian, that has a resulting influence on the fate and fortunes of the United States of America? That's all very possible. Now, I'm going to finish up because I've got some lamb in the oven. And those are, I think, 4 or 5 reasons, I'm losing count, that Donald Trump is not going to be the next president of the United States. And if he is elected, despite these transits, then I'm going to come back and I'm probably going to say something about something I haven't spoken aloud. I'm afraid to be, I'm afraid to tell you what I think is happening with Donald Trump in terms of if he defies the laws of astronomical and astrological physics, so to speak, then I've got to say something about what I'm suspecting. Okay. Think sorcery, think non-ordinary superpowers that are not of good influence. Okay, I'll just say like demonic forces who are trying to uphold him despite the fact that the planetary alignments are trying to pull him down. And FYI, I have had encounters with malevolent spirits and forces before. I don't spend a lot of time talking about that, but they do exist. And also angelic and powerful spiritual forces for good do exist. So, if you look at Donald Trump's aura, you're going to see something in that aura you'd probably not want to see if you can read auras like I can. And so he's not working alone. He's kind of a hollow shell being puppeteered by other forces beyond his hollowed out personality, really, because he's got narcissistic personality disorder, most likely, amongst other things. And so he's kind of vacant and empty, and he's easily manipulated by other forces that aren't looking out for humanity's best interest. All righty, that's it, guys. And I hope you enjoyed that little video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Take care. Ooh, that live juicy